everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to be ranking all of my consoles. So I thought it would be really fun if I basically listed all my consoles and ranked them on a tier list. So not like a 1 to whatever, like a top 10, but more just like, where do I put them in a ranking? Like, are they amazing? Are they awful? Let's see. So I'm really excited to do this and to find out kind of where I rank my consoles. Of course, before we get into it, please make sure you're subscribed. If you're not, click like and tell me what your favorite consoles are. Okay, so let's start this off, and firstly, I will indicate what each ranking means. So I've put all my consoles in here. I believe there's about 18 of them. And S is basically God tier. It's perfect. Can do no wrong. This is the best. A means it's really good. It is a solid, amazing console. I love it. It's just not as good as S. S is basically like, this is the best, my favorite, right? So A is like really, really good though. B is, it's good. It's good. How about we say that? A is great, B is good. It's good. I like it. I'm just not in love with it. It's not my favorite. It's really just, it's good. I had a good experience with it. It's not bad, but it's just good. And then C, it's okay. It has flaws. It's okay. There are issues. And then, of course, D is bad. I'm just going to go with D is not good. D is bad. I don't really like this console. So, yeah, let's just dive right in. I was going to do it in a certain order, but I'm not. So these are just whatever, the order it showed up in. So the first one on the list is the PlayStation 2. Now, this might make people upset, but I am going to put the PlayStation 2 under B. The reason I'm doing that is because at the time, I just didn't play enough PS2 games. At the time, I was kind of a really average gamer. I was playing like games like Grand Theft Auto and stuff. I was not really into it. I was in this too cool for school kind of phase, and I feel like I kind of missed the boat. Yes, I had it. I fully had it. I just didn't play games the way I do now, or like when I was a little kid. So it was a really bad teenage time, and I don't know, just the PS2 is just okay for me. And I don't think it's the amazing JRPG machine that a lot of people think it is. I'm sorry. I know that's like a controversial opinion. I think other consoles are better. And I know the PS2 has a ton of JRPGs on it, but to me, it's good. I don't know. I had a great experience. It was my first, first time I had a DVD player in my room, so it was a big deal. I remember buying this when I was in grade 8. It was huge. I bought Kingdom Hearts. Like, it was a big deal. Like, Final Fantasy X, trust me, it's good. But it's just not a favorite. So how about we leave it at that? It's a good console. It's not my favorite. Next up is the PlayStation 5. And yeah, I'm going to put the PlayStation 5 as S. I do think the PlayStation 5 is amazing, and a lot of people are going to be like, really? Because like PS4 has way more games, blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal. The PS5 is backwards compatible with the PS4 library, and the PS4 wasn't with the PS3. So the PS4, you could only play PS4 games, and I feel like this is awesome. I can play PS4 games on my PS5, which kind of makes my PS4 useless at this point, but it also has the Portal, so I can play all these games portably. I can play PS4 and PS5 games portably. So right there, it's God tier. And it also has some great games on it. The PS4 has great games that I can play on my PS5. So PS5 is an amazing console. I absolutely love it. God tier, S tier, whatever you want to say. It's a favorite, and I just absolutely love it. Now, the Wii, I'm going to put under B, because the Wii to me is a really good console. It's great, but it's just not like a favorite. It's the motion control thing was annoying. I don't know. It's okay. It's good. It's good. I feel like I'll leave it there. I really respect what Nintendo is doing. I like that Nintendo is always trying to innovate, and I also like that they got a lot of people who weren't gamers into playing video games, and I think that's super cool, and I respect it. It's just, it's okay for me. Like, it's not God tier. So we're gonna put it under B. I think that's fair. And then Game Boy Advance, again, some hate here, but I'm going to put the Game Boy Advance under C. I didn't have enough experience with it, so just on a personal ranking, it goes under C. I know that the Game Boy Advance is a great console. That's fine. I didn't have the same kind of experience with it that maybe others did, because at the time, I bought the Game Boy Advance SP like at the end of its life cycle. I kind of missed the boat, and I've played some good games on it, like Mother 3, for instance, but it's okay for me. So I'm going to put it under C just based on my experience with it. I feel like it would be silly for me to put it under S when I've barely used it, right? So again, I'm not saying it's bad. This is all my personal ranking. Now, everybody knows I'm going to put the Switch here under S. That's pretty obvious because the Switch is next level. Yeah, it feels kind of cheap and it has Joy-Con drift, but it is one of the best consoles ever made. It has so many amazing games on it. My Switch library is out of control. It is my favorite console of all time. And yeah, that used to go to a different console, but now the Switch is my favorite. So yeah, Switch and PS5, definitely God tier, love them. Now PS3, B. PS3 is a good console. There's some great stuff on there. I'm going to put it under B because I do have good memories with it. There's some neat games on there that I absolutely love. The thing is, it's not like the best console ever, but I remember getting it. I have fond memories. On my last day, graduated high school and went to go buy a PS3 that day. It was super fun. I saved up, bought that, and I've had a good time with it, but the color scheme is bad. It could use more JRPGs. I don't know. It's just really good. It's just not the best. And yeah, I loved that I had a Blu-ray player. That was super cool. But yeah, it's not the best. So B to me is fair. Wii U, I'm going to put under a C because I don't think it's like absolutely atrocious, but I do think it has issues because it lacked so many games. Like, they barely released anything for it. It was basically just platformers, and at the time I was like, well, there's some great games on there. And yeah, there are some great games on there. That's the problem. There are some great games on there, not a ton of great games. Like, the Switch has tons of great games, right? The PS2 has tons of great games, but the Wii U has some, and I feel like that's not enough. That's too bad. So they screwed this one up. That's too bad. But I still like it, but I'm going to put it under C. The next one is the PS4, which I will put under A. I have had some great memories with the PS4. It was right at a time when I was like really, giving her with gaming. So 100% A, great console, absolutely love it. But now that the PS5 can play PS4 games and the PS5 has the Portal option, yeah, the PS5 is better. So just personal stuff. Xbox One is a big fat D. Sorry. I've had some good memories out with it. Like, I've played a few games that I like on it, but overall, no. Like, I could care less about Xbox to begin with. So I'm going to go with D on that because it never works. You always need to update it. Like, it's so crappy. I feel like I don't need to do that with my other consoles, but the Xbox, you do. So it's like, why do I even have this? Why is it not garbage? So it is a D. I'm sorry. I would hope that the Series S and X are better, but the Xbox One has issues, and just my personal experience, it's a D. Now, the N64, I'm going to put under B because, yes, I have so many amazing childhood memories with it. So many. The problem is, it's still, missing a lot of stuff. As a kid, it was great, but also my concept of what is great has changed. And so if you asked me when I was a kid, what do you think of the Nintendo 64? It would be God tier, right? It would be like, this is the best thing ever. And it's like, it isn't though. It isn't. It has some great games. But it's not enough. Like, having Ocarina of Time on the system is not enough to make it S for me. Where it's like, yeah, that's great, but okay. Has some cool platformers. I'm going to put under B because I'm going to say it's good. I think the Nintendo 64 is good. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Some people think, Nintendo 64 is terrible. But for me, with all the memories, B is fair. I think B is fair. Okay, now we have I believe this is the DS. So we're going to put DS under A. I think the DS is a great console, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I'll put it under A. I feel like that's fair. So let's go with that. There's also some amazing games for it. I think the DS is a pretty cool console, and I love what they introduced. I love the dual screen thing. Like, this was such a step up from what they had before. So definitely A. I think that's fair. It's not my favorite console, but I do think A is fair. Now, the next one is the Xbox 360. My only experience with the Xbox 360 is playing Mass Effect. I have this console, but that's the only thing I used for it, because it was my husband's and he used it. It's definitely had issues. We didn't really have actual problems with it though, like where we got like the red ring or whatever that is. We never had issues with it. So I feel like I don't think it's bad, but I'm just going to put it under D. This is based on experience. Have I had more fun with these consoles? Yes. I'm not saying are these consoles good or bad objectively, because yeah, there's certain things that would go completely different, right? A different route. But for me, it's like based on my experience and like, do I love it? It's like I don't. So I'm going to put it there. That's just fair. Now the 3DS XL, I would put under probably A or S. Leaning towards S just because it's a fantastic console. So many great games. I like it more than the DS. The screen is bigger. It's great. I really like some of the games with the stylus. So yeah, let's leave it at S. I feel like that's fair. It is a really great console. So S for sure. And of course we have the Super Nintendo, and that is S as well. That was my first like console as a kid, like not like portable. And I'm sorry, but the Super Nintendo is phenomenal. Now, when you think of all the great JRPGs on the Super Nintendo, it's not as many as what you're finding today, but games weren't being made like they are today. Like, I feel like the amount of good games I've played just this year on the Switch and the PS5, it's outrageous. As opposed to the Super Nintendo, you can probably name 10 to 15 solid god tier JRPGs. The problem is, it's not like there were like 500. So yeah, some people would argue that. However, the way I see it, every single thing that kind of came out on it was good. The platformers were great, they're very memorable, and the JRPGs were solid. And then of course there's tons of other genres in there, but like you got iconic stuff like Super Mario World. Like, I'm sorry, but that's one of the best games ever made. And like Final Fantasy 2 and 3, which are 4 and 6. But again, those are some of the best Final Fantasies ever made. Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, and then there's tons of other ones like Super Mario RPG. But then there's even other stuff like people like Harvest Moon is on there. And then you get, there's all sorts of weird like licensed games that were actually good. It's a cool system. It made me a gamer. I love it. So the Super Nintendo, phenomenal. I'm going to put it under S. Okay, Game Gear, I'm going to put under D. That's not even hard. It's so bad. I think it was my first console. And yeah, it's technically like better in ways than the Game Boy because it had color, but it took like 6 double A's. It's like ridiculous. And I never used it. I never, ever used it. I rented a couple games for it. I remember there was the odd like mom and pop place that would rent like portable games. And it was just it's not that good. And I'm sure there are some great games on it that I have yet to discover, but I just feel like, no. And I still own my Game Gear. I still have it. I don't know why. It's one of those things you're like, why as a kid did I not sell that? But it never got sold. I think I even tried at a garage sale to sell it. See, there you go. Like, I'm trying to sell it and no one wants it. So it's bad. It's not good. I have no good memories really with it. So this is just the normal 3DS. I'm going to put that under A, because the 3DS XL is better, and the 3DS, they're both great in terms of like the library of games, so I won't, but if we're going just based on console, the XL is better, so I'll put XL under S, and I'll put the 3DS under A, because it's great, but the screen is pretty small, and I feel like I'm never going to use it. When you have a 3DS XL, why would you ever go back and use the 3DS? So 3DS can stay here. I think that's fair. And then we have the Game Boy Color, and this one's hard because this one introduced me to Pokemon, of course, and that is one of my favorite games of all time. But where do I put it? That's the question. Because I didn't really use it that much. So to be fair, I'm going to put the Game Boy Color under B or C. And I'm going to probably put it under B because Pokemon meant so much to me that I'll put it there. And I did play the odd other game on it, but it's funny because now I buy games all the time where it's like, how many games do you buy a year? It's like a lot. And then when I was a kid, it was like you got like one game a year kind of thing, right? So I only ever had a couple games for the Game Boy Color, and it wasn't like, and Pokemon was that was my thing. So I just didn't get the use out of it that I get out of consoles now, where you're like, oh, I have like, 150 games for that console. It's like I had like 3 games for it. So I just feel like it's not fair to put it under S, even though I liked Pokemon Blue and Silver. That's silly. So I'll put it under B. I do think it's great. So I don't think it's a C or a D, because I think what it did was pretty awesome. Like, it was color. It physically looks so cool. Like, this is the coolest 90s thing ever. Am I wrong? And, only took 2 batteries. Worked really great. I had so much fun with it. Playing it everywhere. Recess. In the car. In my bed. On the couch. Like, at my grandma's. Like, I took it everywhere. So, it goes here. I think that's fair to keep it at B. And then lastly, we have the PlayStation Vita. Now, the PlayStation Vita, I am going to put under A. I think the console is actually great. I love the Vita. It's not S, because when I realistically think of all the games I've played on it, I feel like, yeah, it doesn't quite measure up to these standards, but it's really good. The screen is great. It feels nice. Like, I really like the Vita. And I feel like it didn't get its fair shot, so I'm kind of sad for it. But it's actually a really good little console. And you can still go on the not eShop, but you know what I mean, like the PSN, and buy like PS1 games and classics for it. It's cool. And PSP games, like I played Lunar, Silver Star Harmony on it. Super cool. Like, really neat that you can play some of these older games on it. It's a neat console to have. So I love the Vita. All right, so that is my console ranking video. Really fun exercise to do, actually, just to see kind of where you place certain consoles. And, it all comes down to how much did I play with some of these consoles? Like, what are my memories with them? Because some, it's like, well, my memories, I don't really have too many, and other people would take that same console and they'd put it under S, but I put it under D or C or something, right? So I like a lot of these consoles. Obviously, there's the odd one that I don't, but in general, I love my consoles. I love my collections. So it's a fun thing to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, I'll see you guys in my next video.